Welcome to the first episode of Hedgehog Secrets. How to do work you love and earn what you deserve. Now let me give you a bit of background about myself and why I'm actually doing what I'm doing. This is the first episode in a series of, I suppose, talks, lessons, chats, whatever you want to call it, on helping you do the work you love and be more and earn what you deserve. My name is Faisal and I worked for 30 years in the corporate world. But about 5 years ago, I wanted to change something. I decided that it was time to change. I decided to work part-time and I decided to start an online venture. And the venture I eventually ended up with was using Mind Maps Academy. And that is where I ended up. But I didn't start there. So a lot of this actual talks and sessions are going to be about my pursuit of doing work I love to do and earning what I deserve. And these lessons can also help you do work you love and earn what you deserve. Because I found that I see so many disgruntled people over there. They're either not earning enough money, or they're overworked, or they hate what they are doing. All these factors I'm going to take into consideration and give my experiences and tips on actually changing this situation so that you can end up with the result being doing work you love and earning what you deserve. And the time has never been better to do this. Now, as I just mentioned, my objective of these sessions are going to be to give you tips, tools, techniques, resources, and more on how to do work you love and earn what you deserve. Now, the basis of all this was built on a story. And the first time I heard the story was in the book Good to Great by a guy called Jim Collins. And he told us a story of the fox and the hedgehog. You see, the hedgehog is a very cunning animal. And the hedgehog tries various tactics and strategies to eat the hedgehog. And no matter how many times whatever he tries, the hedgehog doesn't change. The hedgehog rolls itself into a little ball, and being protected by its sharp spikes and its hard outer shell, the fox cannot eat the hedgehog. And so the fox has to try other tactics. But the hedgehog continuously just tries that same strategy over and over again. You see, the hedgehog has found its core strategy. And the hedgehog realizes that if he changes the strategy, he's going to be eaten. So he sticks to his core strategy. Now, the lesson of this is not that I want you to roll yourself into a little ball or dig your head in the sand like an ostrich and try to block out the outer world and hoping that everything's going to be better. That's not the hedgehog's strategy. The hedgehog knows that if he rolls himself into a little ball, he's going to be protected. He's not hoping, he knows for sure. So the lesson out of this was actually that you must find your core strategy. Your core strategy to help you do what you love and earn what you deserve. And Jim Collins found that the core strategies of many successful businesses which he studied over a long period had certain things in common. And he called that the hedgehog concept. Not because they rolled themselves into a little ball and ignored everything else about them, but they had a core strategy. And for large successful organizations, there were three things that made these companies successful. And that's what they were deeply passionate about something, and they strove to be the best in the world at it, and they had a solid economic engine. And he called the intersections of these three principles, which he drew as three wheels, he drew that intersection as being the hedgehog concept, because where they intersect, that's your little ball, that's the core strategy that they focused on. And while he found that high-performing companies and highly successful companies all had these things in common, He went on further in his studies to say that this could be applied in our personal lives as well. So when I looked at this, and that was more than 15 years ago, I started applying that in my life. And I started to find that this actually worked. I started being able to do work I love and earn what I deserve, and I was able to actually choose the work that I wanted to do, choose who I wanted to work for, and it gave me lots of options and lots of flexibility. And during the studies, when I went online though, I found it was a bit more difficult because things have changed. And out of that, I developed what I call the personal hedgehog. And there are three components to the personal hedgehog. It's your passion, your money, and your expertise. So you need to have all these three things in place to have your perfect hedgehog. But what often happens is we like certain things, and what we like is not necessarily aligned to our money engine. So if the dream is to doing what you love, your passion, and earning what you deserve, your money wheel, if those two things are well defined, it may just be a dream because you need a third component. You need the expertise to be able to do this. You need the expertise to be able to deliver results, and you need expertise to be able to actually make this dream a reality. Now, if one looked at the three components of the personal hedgehog, where passion and money intersects without expertise, that's just a dream. Where passion and expertise intersect and you can't make money with it, that's just a dream. And where many people are sitting, they've got the expertise to earn some money, but they don't love what they do. They may even hate what they do, and that's just a job. But the objective of the Hedgehog Secrets series of videos is to help you take your passion and your money objectives, which is your dream, and how to grow your expertise and market and sell your expertise so that you can do the work you love and earn what you deserve. And you can define new money engines to bring you income in various ways. So whether you want to be whether you're working for somebody else at the moment as an employee, whether you're a small business owner, whether you're a freelancer or a contractor, this applies to you. So I hope that there's going to be lots of value for you in this series of videos. And I'm also going to be publishing this as a series of podcasts, if I get that right. So look out for that as well. So let's get to the three secrets. There are three secrets which I'd like to talk about to set the foundation, the basis for you finding your hedgehog and actually doing work you love and earning what you deserve. The first secret is expertise. I mentioned just a few minutes ago that if you had a passion for something and you wanted to make lots of money with it, you had that dream, but you didn't have the expertise, you will not be able to realize that dream, and it will remain a dream. So the idea is for you to actually figure out what expertise you need, first of all, and then figure out how you're going to market and sell that expertise to be able to reach your dream. And the first model I like to give you around expertise is what's called the competency model. This has been developed by organizational psychologists, and it's in the form of a pyramid. At the base of the pyramid is your unique abilities and your personality. Now, we all have different abilities, which some people may call it God-given talents, and we all have different personalities, and that forms the basis of who you are and what you can do. And those things are actually very hard to change. And I don't play in that area. That's in the arena of the psychologist, and in the workplace, the industrial and organizational psychologist deals with that. And if you feel that you need growth in that area, it's best that you actually get involved with an organizational and industrial psychologist. And if you want one, I know one. In actual fact, I'm married to an organizational psychologist. But I want to come to where I actually play. There are another 3 components of the competency model which you need to know about. The next level up, as I mentioned, the base is your abilities and your personality. The next level up is your knowledge and skills. And today, we can grow our knowledge and skills quite easily. We can do it via YouTube, like you're doing right now, or you may be listening it to a podcast, which you may be listening to me on a podcast, or you may even get it on a blog, on a website. There are many ways to actually grow your knowledge and skills today. But structuring your knowledge and skills in a specific way to reach your outcomes is the key. So that's the next level of expertise that you need to think about and put a plan in place to think, okay, what knowledge do I need? What skills do I need to be able to do work I love and earn what I deserve? Then finally, on top of all this is your behavior. Behavior, funny enough, people don't realize it, but it's actually the easiest to change. Because by simply putting in a ritual on a weekly basis to do something, to work on your competencies, to work on your marketing strategy for your skills, to change that behavior by using rituals, system, tools, and processes is the way to do that. And I will be covering a lot of that as well in this series of lessons, talks, chats on the Hedgehog Secrets. So that's secret number 1. A bit of it, which is expertise and competency. Now, the way to do this is a process, as I mentioned. I've told you what you need to do, and the process is for you to put in some kind of a personal development plan. And the personal development plan would actually help you figure out and put some plan in place for you to actually develop your knowledge, skills, which is your expertise, and change your behavior. And then we're going to figure out how you can deliver results. Because by delivering results consistently, at the right quality, and delivering the important things will enable you to become an expert and grow your expertise, and other people will start perceiving you as an expert. And as your expertise grows, you'll have more choices with your economic engine. You can have more choices of what you do, who you do it, and even why you do it in the first place. But the important thing for you to know, that secret number 1 is around your expertise. You need to know what expertise you need to have to be able to do work you love and earn what you deserve. And then you need to put some kind of plan in place to grow that expertise, and then you must be able to deliver results and demonstrate that expertise to somebody else. And this is prevalent in all walks of life. Let me give you an example, or maybe even 2 examples. Let's take tennis players. Roger Federer is known to be probably the best tennis player that ever lived. He may have been born with some extraordinary talent, but we all know how hard these professional sports people work. As a young kid, he had been working on his skills, so he's always been working on his expertise. And by winning, he delivers results. And he delivered the results consistently, and he plays tennis of a high quality, but he's always growing his expertise. He has a coach in place, he has a routine in place, he has habits in place, he has all that. Yes, his innate abilities and his personalities at the base of that forms the basis of it, but there are many other tennis players who have different personalities and different innate abilities, also delivering great results. For example, Rafael Nadal. He's a very different tennis player. He's got a very different approach, but he's also delivering great results. But these experts have delivered consistent results for many, many years. And now they can do what they love to do, play tennis, and they can earn what they deserve based on the results that they're getting. Let's take the next thing we talk about. We always see some Hollywood actors, for example. They work very long hours, and they work consistently and produce things of high quality. And if those two are in sync, they're delivering results consistently, great results consistently, guess what? they will start earning what they deserve. The result is doing what they love and earning what they deserve. And they work, all of them have coaches. They work regularly, consistently, long hours, and over time they will develop the expertise and therefore have their, what I call the hedgehog in place. Now those may be two obscure examples, but the principles are exactly the same. Now you may feel like you do not have the ability or the personality to be at that highest level. It doesn't matter. I often quote a guy called Fernando Verdasco. Many people don't even know him, but he's never been number one, but he's made millions and millions of dollars playing tennis, and he seems to be having quite a nice time on the tennis tour. And you don't have to be at the highest levels to make this work for you, because that is why when I looked at the personal hedgehog, one of the wheels was to actually be the best in the world at something for high-performing companies. And I realized that most individuals don't believe they can be the best in the world at anything. So I said, okay, let's develop your expertise to the best you can, and then see what, and then market it in a way so that you get what you deserve. And you will most likely come out higher than average and be able to earn more than most. Okay, that's enough about the expertise wheel. The important thing to remember is that you need to grow your expertise and market your expertise if you want to do what you love and earn what you deserve. Then secret number 2 is a system. I'm always amazed when I speak to people and every day they just get up and do whatever faces them. Whatever they're confronted with, that's what they deal with. And I said, no, things need to change. You need to actually start developing a system. And there are many reasons for that, and I'll get into it as we go along. But for now, I want to just talk about systems quickly. If you look at a traditional business, there are normally 3 roles in most businesses. There's the entrepreneur, the person who has the ideas. There's a manager to organize those ideas into priorities. And there's a technician actually doing the actual work. Now, in the industrial age, these 3 roles were very well separated. You had the entrepreneur who owned the factory. Let's use the factory as an example, as a typical representation of the industrial age. And what a factory produced was, let's say it's producing widgets. And the idea behind producing widgets using mass production is that every single widget needs to look exactly the same. So the entrepreneur had the idea of the factory, had the capital to actually set up the factory and employ a lot of people, put in the machinery, put in the production line, and that was the role of the entrepreneur. So the entrepreneur said, okay, I need people and machinery to actually make this work. So from a people perspective, he employed managers and technicians. Technicians, in my terminology, are people actually doing the work, doing the technical work. So that is my frame of a technician whenever I speak about the technician. And then obviously we had the machinery and the production line, etc. And that was very clear. And these three roles were performed by three very different people. They had different personality types, they had different objectives, and they had different knowledge and skills. That's how a traditional business worked. And it worked like that for many years. And our schooling system was based on that, where we actually had the teacher telling us what to do, and somebody else came up with the curriculum. And that structure was exactly the same. When we went through a factory, school is like a factory. We had to sit in neat rows, listen to the teacher, do standardized testing, and get standardized results. The same thing in a factory. It worked exactly the same. Each widget came out exactly the same. So we had standards and quality to make sure that everything is conforms. Imagine if you're on the production line producing widgets and you decide to be creative and do something different. That's not a way to actually survive in the industrial age. But things have changed quite a bit. Because with a modern worker, a lot of us are knowledge workers. Now, if you are working on a production line in a factory, not that there's anything wrong with it, but I really can't assist you with that because I don't work with that kind of a how can I say, person, And so if that's you, then maybe it's best that you actually stop the video here, or stop the podcast if you're listening it on your podcast, and just maybe continue doing what you're doing. Or if you want to change, then listen further. I can actually give you perhaps a new way of thinking of things. Because in the modern worker, the knowledge worker or the digital worker, where all you need is a laptop and an internet connection to do your work, you have to perform all three roles. You have to be the manager, you have to be the entrepreneur, and you have to be the technician. But the problem is that you're probably suited to one of those roles. Your personality is probably suited to one of those roles, and therefore you have to control the other two. They all, each one of those other personalities wants to be the boss, and then none of them want a boss. So who becomes the boss? And it becomes confusing. And I grappled with this quite a long time, and I realized that the solution to that is to have some kind of a system. And the system that evolved out of this new digital knowledge worker requirements was something called Agile. And Agile started in the software development arena, and in the early 2000s, I think it was 2001, a group of clever software developers and software engineers came together, and they put together what was called the Agile Manifesto for Software Development. It was about helping people in the software world deliver things more effectively, because software was notoriously late. If you just think back, if you're old enough to remember the earliest versions of Windows or any operating system, was a big fanfare, a big launch. Everybody had to upgrade. It was a massive thing. Yet today, if you're on your smartphone and you have any of the modern apps like Facebook or Twitter, that just gets updated without you even knowing. It's seamless. And that was brought about by Agile. And so Agile was around incremental development, being able to look at smaller deliverables, being able to be agile and nimble and respond to things much quicker and easier. And it became the system for software development used by all the major software development houses, whether it be Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, you name it. They all use some form of agile methodology. And that was working very well. And I realized when I've been managing software development teams for quite some time. So I was fortunate to start off as a technician doing the work. Then I went into management and became a manager. I actually did postgraduate studies in management. But as I said, 5 years ago, I actually changed this and actually started working part-time and started becoming an entrepreneur. And I realized that as an entrepreneur, I had to think differently. And I realized I always use this example when I had just left my full-time employment and I was working online, and I knew, and I was a mind mapper. As you can see, I speak through a mind map, and I was sitting there with my head in my hands. I was stressed out of my mind. Mind maps were everywhere. Work was piling up. I just wasn't getting traction, and I was using mind maps to actually manage my work. But I realized that I thought to myself, there has to be something better. And then it hit me. I said, I've been using Agile in the software development world. What if I used Agile in my personal work? Could it work? And so I started doing some research on that. And I looked at, there were a few people using Agile for personal work. And two came to mind. One was Jeff Sutherland. He was one of the co-founders of an Agile methodology called Scrum. He wrote the book Scrum, How to Do Twice the Work in Half the Time. And that was very attractive to me. So I consumed the book, I read it, and we were using Scrum at the place that I was working. And I started mapping Scrum processes to my personal work. And I got some traction. But then I did further research and I came across a guy called Jim Benson. He wrote a book called Personal Kanban. Because Kanban was another Agile methodology. It was actually started with the lean manufacturing methodology of Toyota, which is a visual card system. I'm not going too much into these Agile methodologies yet. I will probably address them in the future, but for now, just know that they exist. And Jim Benson started having some great traction with something he called Personal Kanban. And I started applying a mixture of these two methodologies to my personal work, and work started to flow. I started being more relaxed. I started developing it. In actual fact, Agile methodologies enable me to be able to have this conversation with you right now. and have my own academy and working part-time and doing work I love and earning what I deserve. So I realized though that I needed the right tool for the job. So when I started looking at the 3 roles in more detail, I realized that the entrepreneur has many ideas. The ideas come fast and furious from all angles. So the entrepreneur needed a way to visualize his ideas and capture these ideas and make it visible. Being a mind mapper, I used mind maps for that. There are also other visual methods which you can use, and I will be covering some of them, but the idea is to make work visible. So the first step is to visualize what needs to be done, and I used a mind map to do that. So the entrepreneur in me was managed by using mind maps. Now my core personality, when I did some studies, is more the manager type. I'm the person who's more, one psychologist who I spoke to described me as a conductor. I can conduct an orchestra to produce some great music. I can't play the violin or the drums or the cello or the bass. I can't play any of the instruments, but I know how those instruments work, and I can organize those instruments and make them play in harmony and actually get the result of making something great. That's my default personality, and that's why I think about systems and building systems and developing systems, not only for companies. I built systems and was involved with systems for billion-dollar companies. I've also started thinking about my own life in that way. And so that's the next phase is I need a tool to actually organize my work as a manager. Then finally, when it came to work, essentially only one task can be done at a time. You can only tick one task off as an individual at a time. And I went a lot into actually multitasking and working, but I realized that by minimizing work in progress is the best way for the technician to get done. So out of this, besides having the right tool for each of these personality types, of these roles, I came up with a system which was to visualize, organize, and minimize anything that needs to be done. So the next time you have something big that needs to be done, can you visualize it? Make it visible, whether you use a mind map, even if you use regular notes. I'm not going to be judgmental at the moment. Just do it. Just make it visible. Then organize it into priorities based on importance and urgency perhaps, and then what you do is you minimize it, do it one step at a time, and you actually get it done. So that is the process that I'm going to be delving into a lot in these episodes. Then finally we come to the big one, the money, your money engine. Having a good money engine is very important. And whether you're working for somebody else or working for yourself, this is going to be important to you. You need to start thinking of yourself as a business of one. Because if you're offering services, you're offering your expertise in return for money, a transaction is taking place, that's a business. So if you start thinking about yourself as a business, even from a larger perspective, you have an income statement, you have incomes and expenses, you build up assets over time, you have a balance sheet. So even as an individual, you are a little business. So thinking more and more of as a business of one. And so out of this, I developed a personal business model. There were many tools that I used. One book that comes to mind is a book I read called Business Model U, where it actually, and there's also a book called Business of One, and you start thinking yourself like that, because when you think of yourself as a business of one, you'll be able to package and sell your expertise in the best way possible so you can do what you love and earn what you deserve. So when you ask yourself, who do you currently work for? Have a look at it, and then you can actually ask yourself, who do you want to work for? At the moment, you may be an employee, you may be working for a company, and that's perfectly fine. And it's okay, my objective is to actually get a promotion, to change jobs. It may not be to actually change my career, or it may even be to change my career, but thinking what you'd love to do, and think about your money engine, your economic engine, think what that would be like. Let's put some plan in place and then develop the expertise for you to get there. If you're a freelancer, a contract worker, if you own your own business, or even if you want to start your own side hustle, all of this is important. It's important that you think of yourself as a business of one, and you think of your money engine, and you think of your expertise, develop your expertise, grow that expertise, and learn how to package and sell that expertise. Now, the interesting thing about the digital world, which I found that happened to me when I actually started transitioning from the corporate world to working for myself, is that I only needed two things. I needed a laptop and an internet connection to do my work. In other words, I owned the means of production. In the industrial age, the factory owner owned the means of production. The factory owner needed a lot of capital. The capital was used to invest into that factory, and depending on how much capital you had, will decide the size of factory you will have, how many people you can employ, what your output can be. But in the digital world, all you need is a laptop and an internet connection. I often tell people, we've been given the means of production, we can now own it, but because we were trained in the industrial age, we don't know what to do with it. So hopefully some of the things that I'm going to show you and teach you will help you learn how to use this new means of production that you now own. If you're watching this, you probably own the means of production to produce digital work, because you're either watching this on a computer, a laptop, or your smartphone or tablet. And with those tools, you can actually own the means of production and do digital work. You can do exactly what I'm doing right now. So when it came to knowledge work, I realized that knowledge work is not a factory. It's not about producing widgets. Each piece of work that we do as a knowledge worker is unique. Unlike in a factory where every widget has to look exactly the same, and changing or not conforming is disastrous to the factory. But for knowledge work, thinking like a factory worker is disastrous to you as a knowledge worker. You need a new way of thinking, and that's what I'm going to explore a lot in the coming upcoming series of videos or podcasts that you're going to be watching or listening. And then I want to maybe empower you to have the power to choose who you work for, to choose what you're going to do, to choose where you're going to work, to choose when you're going to work, and even why you do it in the first place. And the only way to empower you to do that is to actually grow your expertise and package your expertise and market your expertise and even sell your expertise in a way that can get you to do the work you love and earn what you deserve. So those are the three secrets that I'm going to talk about. The solution as a summary is that for you to do work that you love and earn the money that you deserve, which is your dream, you need to grow your expertise. You need to market your expertise. And to do that, today in the modern world, there are new tools, new methods, new systems, and new processes for you to do that. And that's what I'm going to be covering in Hedgehog Secrets. So there you have it. This is the first episode of Hedgehog Secrets. I hope this to be a weekly production where I'm going to publish it on in video format first, and then I'm going to publish it as a podcast as phase 2. So if this is the first time you're encountering me, welcome. I hope over the time that we're going to spend together that you're going to get to know me, like me, and trust me. And I hope that I'll be able to help you do the work you love and earn what you deserve. And what I will do is I'll post below links to where you can take the next steps. So that's me signing off. I'm Faisal of Using Mindmaps Academy. I look forward to the journey together and trust that I'll be able to help you do the work you love and earn what you deserve. Until next time, go well.